We have all heard of the great empires that dominated vast regions, shaping history in various ways and across different periods of time. Some empires were gigantic and lasted for centuries, while others were smaller but left an indelible mark on history. Today, much of what modern society is can be attributed to our ancestors who forged, with sweat, fire, and blood, great kingdoms and empires that shaped the course of world history. However, beyond the traditional image we have of powerful empires ruled by legendary emperors, we know very little about the first empire of humanity. If you are a history lover, subscribe now so you don't miss out on the most fascinating news from around the world. The origin of empires. The journey through time. Before we begin our journey through the history of empires, I want to thank you for your audience. To help support the channel, I ask you to leave your like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to be informed of more videos like this one, which I release weekly. Also, don't forget to check out the books and courses available in the description, which are relevant for history lovers. With your support, we can deliver this content with even higher quality. History is much more than a simple narrative of past events. It is a dynamic science in constant motion. The study of empires, both ancient and modern, reveals an unmatched depth. Our species, since the final stages of the Neolithic period, founded settlements that, under the right conditions, prospered in various regions of the world. Archaeology shows us that for at least 5,000 years, humanity has sought ways to accumulate wealth, prestige, and power, with empires emerging in Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, and other great ancient civilizations. The first empire in history. The Akkadian Empire. It is in the region of Mesopotamia, considered the cradle of civilizations, where the first recorded empire in history emerged. The Akkadian Empire. Founded by Sargon the Great, this empire marked the transition from a series of independent city-states to a vast multinational empire. The capital of Akkad was the city of Ubaid, located along the western bank of the Euphrates River, where Sargon, with an uncommon ability to govern, founded the first expansionist political entity in history. The story of Sargon is fascinating, as he was one of the first rulers to unify various tribes and cities under a single government. However, he was not the first to attempt this. Before him, the Sumerian king of Uruk, Lugal-Zagizi, had achieved the unification of some minor cities, though on a much smaller scale than Sargon's conquest. Sargon expanded this model, carrying out military campaigns that guaranteed him control over vast regions, and established a centralized government, creating an empire that extended from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, encompassing the territory that today corresponds to Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and even parts of Egypt. The expansion and advances of the Akkadian Empire. Under Sargon's rule, the region of Mesopotamia flourished in the arts, literature, science, agriculture, and religion. Sargon was responsible for a series of innovations, such as the construction of roads, improvements in irrigation, and the strengthening of trade. One of the most important inventions was the first postal system, in which clay tablets were wrapped in clay envelopes, and a sender's seal ensured that the letters reached the recipient without being tampered with. This communication system facilitated the administration of such a vast empire. Additionally, Sargon relied on his most loyal men to govern the various cities of his empire. He placed his governors, known as Akkadians, in more than 65 cities, which ensured the stability needed for the empire. One example of his political astuteness was his daughter Enheduanna, who was appointed high priestess of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess, in the city of Uruk. Enheduanna is recognized as the world's first known writer, famous for her religious hymns and her political and cultural influence. The dynasty and legacy of Sargon. Sargon ruled for 56 years, and after his death, he was succeeded by his son Rimush, who maintained his father's policies. During Rimush's reign, the empire faced internal revolts, but the new monarch managed to restore order. Rimush was followed by his brother Manish-Tushu, who also had to suppress revolts before focusing on the effective governance of his lands. During Manish-Tushu's reign, the empire continued to prosper, and significant construction and commercial expansion projects were undertaken. Despite internal difficulties, the Akkadian Empire remained one of the most influential civilizations of its time. Internal stability allowed the arts to flourish, and trade relations with other peoples of the region, such as those of the Indus Valley and the Kingdom of Maluha, expanded. During this period, significant advances were made in architecture and engineering, such as the construction of the Temple of Ishtar in the city of Nineveh, considered one of the grandest achievements of Akkadian architecture. The Akkadian Empire and its decline. However, the Akkadian Empire was not destined to last forever. Over time, internal tensions and external threats began to endanger its stability. The invasions of the Gutians, a barbarian people from the east, were a fatal blow to the empire. Internal struggles, the depletion of resources due to climate changes, and the lack of effective administration led to the collapse of the Akkadian Empire. The last kings of Akkad were unable to keep the empire united, and the territory once ruled by Sargon the Great disintegrated, giving way to an era of chaos in Mesopotamia. After the Gutian invasion and the devastation caused by internal revolts, Akkad collapsed, and the legacy of this empire became a legend told throughout the centuries. Conclusion. The legacy of the first empire in the world. The Akkadian Empire was the first empire of humanity, and although its duration was relatively short, its impact on world history was profound. Sargon the Great, with his ability to unify various tribes and peoples under one government, laid the foundations for future empires that would dominate the world in the centuries to come. His legacy lies not only in territorial expansion and political consolidation but also in his innovations in areas such as communication, administration, and religion. The end of the Akkadian Empire was not the end of the history of great empires, but rather the beginning of a new era of civilizations that would take the lessons learned from the Akkadians as a model. Although the city of Ubaid and many of the wonders of the empire no longer exist, the impact of this first empire lives on in the pages of history. Don't forget to subscribe and comment on what topic you would like us to explore in the next videos.